On October 7th, 2021, the Marvel's Avengers video game introduced paid consumables to the marketplace. These items would temporarily increase the amount of XP a player would earn by hours or days during gameplay. Since the introduction of these consumables, players have been skeptical about their addition to the game. Though these items were introduced as free gifts, many players felt that eventually these would be sold for real money, but other players were convinced for one reason or another that this was not the case. Now, after the sale of these initially free items, the Play Avengers community had some very strong reactions to the news. However, 26 days after the initial sale of the first paid consumables, the Play Avengers Twitter released a statement apologizing for this decision with the news that they would be removing this item from the marketplace. So in today's video, we're going to be going over this brief saga, and I'm going to be talking about my feelings before, during, and after the sale and removal of XP boosters in the Marvel's Avengers marketplace.
Stars and stripes!
Hello and welcome to another Carrot Scraps video, and by another, I mean the 83rd. Now, before we get into anything, I wanted to make something very clear. In this video, like all my videos, my intention is to provide commentary and to potentially criticize a piece of media and a work of art. Marvel's Avengers is a product that I paid for, and I'm entitled to my opinion on the game and the decisions made for it moving forward. But with all that being said, I am by no means encouraging hateful rhetoric or harassment be directed to anyone. No person at all should receive harassment because of my video game opinions, but especially developers, community managers, or players. I can't stress this enough, even if you're critical of this game, there's no reason to harass these people. I think your criticism should speak for itself, and if you attack others, I think it shows an insecurity in your critique. In addition to that, I'd like to reiterate that we are revisiting certain details that are no longer true for the game. Please keep in mind that at the time of recording this video, the team has responded to the criticism from the community and decided to remove paid XP boosters from the game. So with that important disclaimer out of the way, let's waste no more time and talk about the paid XP booster saga. One of the greatest.
Why are you talking about this? Didn't this happen like months ago now?
Hey Kyle, I'm recording a video, and yes, it happened months ago, but it's something that I kind of would like to talk about.
Now, first of all, you shouldn't talk about something if it didn't happen yesterday. Second of all, make that the title of the video says that you're talking about consumables. And that happened a while ago.
I know it happened a while ago. I understand that. That's why I wanted to make it clear at the in the video that's what I was talking about. But there's still stuff that I want to talk about that I haven't had the chance to talk about yet. You know what I mean?
Well, you should make that clear because the title of the video says paid consumables, and there are no more paid consumables.
Well, you have to. I don't know what to tell you, Kyle. You have to watch the video. You can't just read the title of the video and pretend like you know everything. You got to watch the video. What do you not read articles and you just read the title of articles and pretend like you have all the information after that?
Yes, of course. What do you think I'm reading articles? No, that's why they make headlines. So that way you get everything you need to know as quickly as possible, and then you don't need to read the article or who wrote it.
That explains a lot of our interactions. So, plain and simple, before we move on any further, my opinion on the sale of XP boosters in Marvel's Avengers is that I don't like it. The decision to do so disappointed me deeply as a player and a fan of the game, and I genuinely think it's a bad idea in general. So let's start with why I was disappointed. The reason why I was so disappointed was because of the circumstances of the release of these items. On several occasions, the team attempted to clarify that this situation would not happen. For example, when the game was first solicited in 2019, a representative of the team highlighted that the game would offer no loot boxes and no pay-to-win scenarios. They did this in an attempt to reassure players that in a market of highly monetized video games, they would not participate in the practices that many players disagreed with, essentially acknowledging that these business practices are highly criticized. Now, Avengers is a live service online game where you can play with other people, but it's been brought to my attention many times that since gameplay is PvE or player versus enemy, there is no way to have a pay-to-win function in the game. Earning XP is not giving you a leg up on other players, it's just making your character gain skills a little bit faster. Thus, in a traditional sense, there is no pay-to-win possible in a game like this. Now, I can definitely understand this perspective, and I get where people are coming from when they say this. But with all of that being said, I don't think that the specifics matter in the long run. The fact is, the team said they wouldn't include any pay-to-win scenarios, and while there aren't traditional avenues for that to happen in Avengers, I think selling items that increase the amount of experience points you get is what players assumed the team would avoid when they made that statement. It's the closest thing to pay to win, and so I'm not going to split hairs here. In addition, there were further statements made after this that attempted to specify even further that they would not sell items like this in the game. For example, there was a blog post that said in no uncertain terms that microtransactions in-game would specifically be cosmetic only, and selling XP boosters clearly violates that. And so that's about it. I personally don't want pay-to-win scenarios in any of my video games, but I don't necessarily have the biggest problem with XP boosters being sold in Avengers. But I was disappointed, and the reason why I was so deeply disappointed was because the team said they wouldn't do this, and they did. Plain and simple. Now, with the context of the development team promising not to sell pay-to-win scenarios in mind, let's move on and talk about why I think this was such a huge mistake. Plain and simple, I think the decision to sell paid XP boosters resulted in more negatives than it did any positives. Let me explain. Now, even though I'm not necessarily against the sale of XP boosters, I still think that they're not the best idea. Clearly, they made this decision because they thought it would benefit them in some way, presumably making more money. They're selling these items because they think someone will buy them and that they'll earn money in that way. And maybe some people did. I've seen people in the Avengers community talk about buying them, and I've seen people say that they enjoy their presence in the game. But I personally don't think that the people who were buying these outweighed the amount of people who were upset by the decision. I genuinely think that whatever money earned by selling these items was much less than the negative press, loss of players, and frustration it cultivated from its fan base. I mean, there were hardcore players who vowed to stop playing after this decision was made, and it made me genuinely emotional. People who really loved this game, and who it was very clear that it meant a lot to them, felt really betrayed by this decision to the point where they felt they had to stop playing. I just couldn't see a possibility that this decision to sell XP boosters resulted in a net positive for the company and for the game. I only see majority negatives from making this sale. And in my opinion, that was one of the biggest reasons not to sell the XP boosters, and why I think it was a mistake to do so. And why I'm glad they eventually decided to stop selling them.
I don't even want to buy XP boosters. I don't even want to.
Yeah, well, Kyle, you don't have to buy XP boosters. In fact, there's no way for you to buy XP boosters anymore.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's there, and now I feel like I have to buy them. I don't want to have to buy them. I don't want to.
Then don't, Kyle. Then don't do it. Also, you can't. You can't do it. Let's focus on that. You cannot buy XP boosters anymore. It was a mistake. They admitted it was a mistake. Let's move on.
But I don't want to buy them anymore. And now that they took them out of the game, I can't buy them, and I want to buy them.
Wait, you want to buy? You made a switch. You went back and you switched. What happened?
Shut up, vegetable man.
Kyle, calm down. Why do you always have to cause a ruckus? You can't just tell me how you feel. You have to throw around the chair and the cat toy. Now, another one of the big reasons that I didn't like the sale of XP boosters was because, to me personally, it removed the fun of the game. In my opinion, the fun of Marvel's Avengers is the combat, and rewards like gear and XP make the combat and missions feel more worthwhile. XP boosters can be fun occasionally to use during an event or if you get one for free, but being offered the ability to pay for one constantly risks decreasing the fun, in my opinion. Many players think that the XP grind is tedious and that this would be a solution, and while it does take a while to earn XP, I disagree that the grind is tedious in a bad way. I've said many times that the combat makes the grind enjoyable. And if I'm enjoying the grind, getting XP and gear through combat, then I want to earn XP. I don't want to work around for the fun that I'm experiencing. And so selling XP boosters just felt really antithetical to the fun that I experienced in Marvel's Avengers. So at the time XP boosters were released, there was a ton of negative press, and a lot of the Play Avengers community was vowing to stop playing the game as a result. And where did that leave ya boy Carrot? I was genuinely and thoroughly disappointed in this decision, and I was pretty vocal about it too. But honestly speaking, I still enjoyed the game, and as long as I didn't buy these XP boosters, my game stayed mostly the same. So let's go over what I did at this time to show my displeasure in this decision. So like I said, with XP boosters on the table at the time, I was disappointed, plain and simple. It genuinely hurt from my perspective to have something sold that the team implied they wouldn't sell by promising no pay-to-win scenarios. But this didn't prevent me from playing Marvel's Avengers. I continued playing the game, and I even continued buying skins from the marketplace. However, along with my verbal disagreement on social media, I decided I would protest the consumables by not purchasing them. Now, of course, I was just one player, I couldn't sway the team by myself. But my hope was that if enough people who felt like I did the same thing as me, that our voices would be heard eventually through our lack of patronage. And in general, I think this was the wisest decision. If you generally disagree with the business practice or the direction of a piece of media that you support monetarily, I think stopping your monetary purchases is the best way to send the message that you don't like it. For example, if you don't like skins in Avengers, avoid buying them at all costs and make sure you spend money on the skins that you do think you'd like to see more of in the future. Or if you see a comic book character that you don't like, make sure to not purchase comics of that character and they will stop making comics of those characters. Instead, put your money towards characters who you think deserve the money. Now, I personally like the skins in Marvel's Avengers, so I continued buying. However, I didn't agree with the sale of paid consumables at all, and so I avoided buying them at all costs. And I like to think that me avoiding that purchase, along with many others, caused the team to make their final decision. And speaking of their final decision, let's talk about their response.
Wait, their response? I heard that they didn't respond at all. I heard they were like, shh, quiet, you know?
Yeah, no, the development team eventually, did say something to their community, and I was really happy about it. We're about to get into that.
But I heard that they didn't talk to anybody. That's what I heard.
Yeah, well, that's just not true. They did respond to the player base, and they made a decision. So we're gonna talk about that. Let's do that.
That's crazy. I heard that they didn't tell anyone.
26 days after making the controversial decision to sell XP boosters, the Marvel Avengers Twitter put out a statement responding to the community. We have decided that by the end of today, we will remove Heroes Catalysts and Fragment Extractors for purchase. And included with that tweet was an image that also reads as follows. We apologize for not responding sooner to your concerns about the addition of paid consumables in the marketplace. We introduced them as an option for an evolving player base and did not see them as pay to win since they don't offer power directly. We have decided that by the end of today, we will remove Heroes Catalysts and Fragment Extractors for purchase. They will continue to be earnable rewards, and those already owned are still usable. We hope that this can be the first step to rebuilding confidence in us as a team. It continues to be our goal to make the very best game possible. Thank you for being a part of the Marvel's Avengers community. And that tweet was published on November 2nd, 2021. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest, I was shocked that they made this statement. I genuinely thought that the decision was made and that they would just ignore the frustration from players until the problem went away. Needless to say, I was extremely happy that they instead decided to communicate with the player base, and that they decided to accept the criticism given to them by players. Now, obviously, this is a problem of their own creation, so I'm not going to give them too much credit, but I do think it deserves a little bit of respect. In fact, I remember almost every single Marvel's Avengers content creator just retweeting this tweet with the word respect over and over. I thought it was really interesting. I always say that it's not about making mistakes, but instead how you recover from them. Making this mistake and then being transparent with the community and accepting the feedback was really impressive to me. Now, to be fair, 26 days is a long time to respond to this. But while I definitely would have loved a response sooner, I have to assume it's difficult for a game developed by a company who's licensing out the intellectual property and owned by a parent company like Square Enix. It's hard to change trajectory or to make a statement like this very quickly. Speaking from my own experience, I've worked at plenty of jobs where it's difficult to get anything done because there are so many layers of approval to go through. Again, a statement sooner would have been nice, and not selling them in the first place would have been preferable, but I really do admire the response they ended up making. And that basically wraps up the paid consumables saga, but before we go, I wanted to mention a couple of more things. I've heard some argue that the team did not remove these consumables because of player feedback, but instead because they weren't selling. Really quickly, I just wanted to say that the consumables not selling is player feedback. As I said many times, I was disappointed by this decision, and my form of protest was to not buy any XP boosters. I would still play the game and buy skins that I liked, but I would not buy any XP boosters, and I hope that anyone else who felt similarly to me would do the same. I have to imagine, in some way, if sales were the reason they removed consumables from the marketplace, that players did boycott the purchase of these items, for whatever reason, whether they did it passively or consciously. Thus, the development team was listening to the majority of players. If they kept the consumables because they were selling well, it would be disappointing for me personally, but it would also be the team listening to the majority of players, because in that scenario, the majority of players would be purchasing consumables. So yeah, either way, whether the consumables were removed because of the lack of sales or because of the verbal criticism, the reason they were removed, in my opinion, is because of player feedback. In the end, I genuinely think that this is a fantastic way to communicate, and that it shows a willingness to grow and to cooperate with players in the future. I also personally haven't experienced a company reaching out to their players in this way, especially when responding to a perceived mistake. To me, that seems really big, and I'm proud of the team. In the end, I think this was a disappointing saga with a good ending. I'm still disappointed that they made this decision in the first place, but getting a response really helped their public perception for me, and I believe that it's possible that they just had a lapse in judgment. With upcoming gear changes and additions like shipments and the potential changing of units, I've heard a lot of anxiety about the team potentially doing this a second time. I doubt that the team is eager to make a similar mistake, and I have to imagine they've learned their lesson. If they didn't, and they do sell some other form of progression, I will be even more disappointed than I was the first time. But as of right now, their statement and the way that they have handled this situation has really reassured me on the health of the game moving forward. But what do you think? Is this something that's in the past for the game, or do you think that the team could potentially make a mistake like this in the future again? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. If for some reason you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and to subscribe to my channel for more. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know that I make a variety of content, and I'm always gonna make the kind of videos that I wanna make. But if you see something you enjoy, make sure you let me know, and I'll try to prioritize that kind of video in the future. If you wanna watch me play Marvel's Avengers and other video games live, check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/carrotscraps, and all my other social media, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram are at carrotscraps as well. So I wanna thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Hey, how you doing? So, I wanted to end the video a little bit differently than I normally do. Normally, I'll do like a little goof here, but I kind of want to just talk and let you know what's been going on. Essentially, long story short is that I started a new job, and it's become difficult for me to work on content as much as I used to. I'm super thankful for my new job. It just, it eats into the time that I have to do other things. But that's not even the big thing. I could handle a job and making content at the same time. The big problem is that as soon as I started my new job, all of my hardware stopped working. My new PC, my old PC, and various other capture software, all of it just stopped working. And so even though I've wanted nothing more than to stream and to make YouTube videos, I haven't been able to make content for almost 2 months now. And I just wanted to say I'm really sorry about that. That really wasn't intended, and it hurts that I haven't been able to make more content. Obviously, I found a little workaround to make this video, and I'm really happy that I was able to put it out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that I'm able to fix the stuff that's not working now so I can get back to, maximum productivity for my channel in the future. But I just wanted to say I appreciate all the patience from the people who have been watching my content for a while and who have stuck around. Yeah, for those of you who have stuck around. Speaking of making mistakes, while we're here, we normally do like a little bonus at the end, so we'll do a little blooper. But again, I just wanted to say thank you for sticking with the channel, and here comes a blooper. What's this? Oh, hey, a blooper. I don't know how to transition into the blooper, but I'm just gonna say bloop and then it's gonna start. Bloop. We have decided that by the end of today, we will remove hero. I definitely can't read. It's, you know what it is? I've never realized it's heroes catalysts instead of hero catalysts. There's two t's at the end of catalysts. Try saying catalysts with one t's. What am I saying? Pretty good blooper, right?
I hate the word